Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 1 finale of Chainsaw Man. A great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, I wasn't sure where we were going to be picking up, how the end result was going to be with the whole Aki and Ghost Devil situation, because I was thinking, like I said, could it be that he's seeing so far into the future and all this hasn't really happened yet? But it's like, no, he is here getting choked out by the Ghost Devil, and as he's about to pass out, we get a flip side and more extended perspective on this flashback we saw in one of the hotel episodes where Himeneo talks about, thinks back to the first time, her and Aki met, and her, convincing him to smoke. It's that exact scene. She's like, all right, here. But then she finds out he's underage, and it's like, all right, give me the cigarette back. And she's like, I will hold on to this until you're ready, until you're appropriate age. And I was like, oh, interesting. And you assume in that moment, because, when you get to that scene and she gives him the cigarette, he's like, this will be the first and last time. Hard cut to him in the hotel asking her for a cigarette. So I was like, I love we get this extra element. But then he wakes up and he sees that the Ghost Devil has one of its hands extended out and opens it, and it's like, of course, it's the cigarette, and it has Easy Revenge written on it. I was like, that's so beautiful. In so many ways, I didn't think about the messaging until later on in the episode, because it influences Aki's decision. Aki has gotten revenge for Himeneo in the past as well. This time should be no different. But it was it was the situation where we saw one of Himeneo's deceased partners. One had a significant other that came over and slapped her, and Aki went to go get her revenge and stuck gum or something to her skirt or shirt, just his little act of rebellion. And then Himeneo busted out laughing because he stuck up for her like that. So. But it's also there's so much you have to take away from that, where you're like, is there some part of Himeneo still left inside, a fragment of her that was still left inside the Ghost Devil, or was it still acting upon her last will, just like it did when it revved up his chain, revved up Dingy a couple episodes back before she completely vanished. So it just makes you wonder. But he says this interesting thing where he's like, Himeneo told him that the Ghost Devil can't see because it doesn't have any eyes. It sees through fear. And so in that moment, it's just getting rid of all his fear, because I think getting the cigarette and all that, it just kind of relaxed him a little bit. And it's just kind of I think it's the notion and fear of, despite me having my goal in mind, I'm still afraid of what it means to go forward without Himeneo by my side, and just afraid of just continuing to lose people over and over and over again, especially because it's lost his parents. He's had to deal with loss at such a young age, and it's happened over and over again. That's why he cries. So, and I think for him, it's just a stillness of his heart in that moment. He climbs on top of the Ghost Devil and slices its head off. Because I do believe that's just because Himeneo did put her everything summoning the Ghost Devil. I don't think there's a thing of, she might be the only one that had a contract with the Ghost Devil. I don't know if that means the Ghost Devil is permanently dead. So putting it to rest, it's getting revenge for Himeneo, but also putting her down, because she's also in a way kind of getting used to try and hurt you too. So there's levels to that. I'm I don't know if you're meant to view it that way, but this is how my mind works and how I'm viewing it. Maybe that's exactly how you're supposed to view it, maybe not. But yeah, they don't kill, I've got her name this time, it's Sawatari, the snake woman. But before she can make a move, Kobeni shows up and gets the knife to her throat. It's right, we're not here to kill her. We're here to arrest her. At the same time, Digi and Power are doing their thing. She's feasting on zombie flesh because she says meat is meat. And then they get onto a specific floor and there's a whole bunch of zombies. She's like, oh, this is my time. And she's like, these are opponents I can beat. I was like, is that what this is all about? Because your pride is hurt because you kind of ran away and you're just like, oh, I want to prove myself. See, look how awesome I am. And Digi just kind of ignored you, stayed on the elevator and just kept going up. But yeah, she just wanted to fight. Where I was like, I love that you completely missed the big battle. Because it feels poetic for it just to be Dingy's anyway. But I love that she was just like, ooh, let me me prove how powerful, we're the opponent. It's like, you knew none of them was going to cause you an issue, but it's like, yeah, she just wants to prove to herself and a lot, because she creates a lot of fallacies and lies. Even though you've been training, you're still probably a little nervous, because that was her thing of, she didn't want to go up against Samurai, the Samurai Devil, because it's super fast and she couldn't track its movement, so I think she was a little afraid. But Denji, as we know, isn't too afraid of dying. I mean, despite all the dying, it's just, power is just power. That's just wild. But I'm sure she'll have her moment at some point in the story. But either way, Denji confronts the guy, and he's ready to rev up the chainsaw, but the guy's like, hey, like, you should basically be apologetic for everything. Don't you have any conscience for what you've done, like all the death that you've caused? Like, kind of saying like, yeah, you killed someone that was important to these people and my grandfather. It's like, dude, they were turned into zombies. And he's like, you're a liar. It's like, no, they did. Like, your grandfather overestimated things and got greedy and got turned into a zombie. But then he's like, even if they were, you still did what you did. I was like, do you have no conscience over this? He's like, even me, when I go to sleep at night, I feel bad for accidentally killing the zombies. And he's like, do you really feel no regret? You need to atone for your sin. And he's like, nah, I'm good. And you're like, oh, fine then. I'm enjoy killing you. The two of them rev up. Well, we actually don't see what his looks like when he transforms. I don't think we didn't see that last episode. We didn't see that previously, did we? I mean, Denji has like the revving up in his chest, but I don't know how Home Dude turns into like the samurai sword devil. Oh, because he's like, maybe that's a translation thing. Maybe other places it's kind of, because the subtitle says like samurai sword, but maybe it's like, because the title of this episode is like katana versus chainsaw. So like he's probably like the katana devil. I think they call it katana in other places, but maybe I was just reading wrong subtitles somewhere else. Seeing it labeled at, maybe I read that somewhere labeling it as like the sword, samurai sword, instead of just katana. But either way, he just said he woke up with the katana sword in like as his heart, very much like Denji and Pochita. So I'm curious how that came about. I wonder how long has he had the katana devil, circumstance that he does. But either way, the two duke it out, and it does seem like Denji's still on the losing end, but they're a little bit more even matched, and it's like, oh, you've gotten sharper, and of course the battle's going to go to a freaking on top of a train, and yeah, they duke it out inside of the train too, and Denji's still getting his ass handed to him. But the problem is Katana, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because he's doing the samurai thing of like, you slice past somebody and then you sheath your sword. It's that type of shit, which like, it's a fan of swords and like katanas and tachis and samurai type of stuff. I'm like all about that. That is like the coolest thing ever. We're just like, oh, you don't even realize you've been sliced. I didn't even think about that until now. I should have. It shouldn't have taken me this long to think about that when he does what he does. It's just he's not sheathing it because the blades are in his arms and his head. I mean, obviously they can retract the blades and stuff. But yeah, he cuts off both of his arms, and it comes down to his head. He's like, right, it's not over. I still have the chainsaw on my head. And then they go past each other. But then the chainsaw on his head breaks. But then he's like, yeah, you went right for my head, you idiot. The fact of the matter is, he's like, a devil should never trust the word of a hunter. Learned from his teacher, taught him a good lesson, and it turns out Denji learned how to summon the chainsaw also through his leg. Now, whether it's both legs or whether he's only mastered one, we won't know at this point. But he ended up slicing Home Dude in half. Not dead though. Like, ended up being able to pull him back together. But Denji's like, yeah, but you did kill Himenio, and because of that, there's one less hot lady in the world. Even though he pretends not to care, like, for him, it still is a thing of Himenio was like a friend, had kind of become like the only other friend I had, and then also she was a hot lady who was willing to, like, have sex with me, too. But I wanted to save myself for Makima. So, yeah, because they did have that conversation about, like, oh, why is he doing all this? And it's like, is the life you're leading that good? He's like, yeah, it is. And I'll do anything to make it so that Miss Makima, praises me, too. So, but yeah, when the time comes, it's like, nah, I've got to punish you in some shape or form. He's like, oh, I came up with good competition. And Aki comes over and he's like, oh, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kick him in the balls, which I love that because it's like, yeah, it's coming full circle because that was their first, like, bout was when, he hit Denji, and then Denji proceeded to like kick Aki in the nuts repeatedly. So it's like, yeah, we're going to kick him in the nuts, and whoever makes him scream the loudest is the winner. You know, it's like, yeah, we could just wait for the police to come and get him, because it's like, this is kind of some payback. But Aki's like, we're here to arrest him, not torture him. But then he looks at the easy revenge, and I think it's just like I brought up earlier about like how he got revenge for Himenio. It's almost like that same thing as like, all right, how do we decide the winner? It's just like, yeah, we just keep going to whoever it's like, what does the winner get? And he's like, oh, his balls, of course. And they proceed to go over and they're kicking him. Poor bastard is bent over, balls exposed, kicking him, and they're just having fun. And even it's like, oh, do you hear this, Himenio? Aki's like, we are sending a requiem your way. So everything has been resolved. Samurai dude, Katana dude is still alive. The only one that's dead is Sawatari, because there was kind of a suicide contract in place. So I guess upon getting caught, like the snake automatically eats her head. So she's the one who orchestrated a lot of this. So Katana wouldn't know anymore, because I'm sure Sawatari like compartmentalized that, so only she knew everything that was going on. But yeah, most people got arrested because the humans aren't dead. Those, well, maybe Makima, maybe she didn't kill some of those Yakuza's last episode, because they were all making the point of just knocking them out, specifically Aki was. So we do have Makima explaining all of this to the higher up, and they got more pieces of the gun devil, and it's like, where is it pointing you? And for some whatever reason, I can't explain why, there's a part of me that was like, is it going to end? I was like, where are they going to go? I was like, are you going to go to America or something like that? Which seems like it would be where you probably... It's effed up to say, but it's like, feels like if you're going to find a gun devil anywhere, it feels like it would be. I mean, it's already been in America before, but I just feel like... I don't know how international this series ever gets, you know? I mean, most series... But I mean, some series break that trend of just staying like purely in Japan. I mean, they might stay in Japan, but there's certain elements of the story that pull from internationally, and we have talked about the international scale side of things to some extent. So I don't know if this series ever, as it continues, as it has continued, whether or not it's going international, our characters have gone international. But my immediate thought was that they were going to America. That's where, because now they've gathered enough of the flesh of the gun devil that it's able to point them in a general direction. So the question is, where is it? We don't get an answer to that. But yeah, that's kind of where things currently stand. We also found, maybe you already knew that, but like, I think it was new information that Sawatari was she was formerly of the private sector. She was a devil hunter herself, which, you know, makes sense. But I'm like, why? What did she get out of siding with the gun devil? Like, what did it promise her? Like, well, why would she decide to do this? I mean, Katana dude, it's like he had his own ambitions and stuff. And even the whole question of, well, why were they after Denji's heart? Why were they after the chainsaw's heart? It's like, still don't know. Interestingly enough, we have this thing at the end of the episode, which is basically the opening of the first episode, and that's Denji walking towards the door, and he's hearing Pochita's voice. He's like, "Oh, let me pet you. It's just a dream." And apparently, he has a dream all the time, but every time he wakes up, he can't remember it. And so the question is this something he witnessed as a child that he can't remember, it's buried in his subconscious? Or is this something related to Pochita because Pochita was like, do not open that door. So I wonder if he opens that door, if it's something related to Pochita, like the moment you open this, you lose yourself and get consumed. Like maybe this door is the only thing keeping Pochita from completely consuming him and him being like a true fiend like power in the others, or what. I don't know what to kind of make of that, you know? Like I said, I don't know if it's something that happened to him is real. Like, is it a real life thing of like, it's a memory, or is it just like a subconscious, like manifestation, like a metaphorical manifestation meaning something else? Like, what is behind that door that Pochita was like, do not open this door? Like, what is it? Is it related? Like I said, because there's still so much about Pochita we don't know, because Pochita's the reason why Denji's getting hunted. It's like people, for whatever reason, the chainsaw is important, just don't know why. But we have our trio of Aki, Power, and Denji like hanging out, just doing their thing. and then Aki's outside smoking the cigarette. He smokes the one that says "Easy Revenge." Because I brought that up, I think, last episode, wondering, because not last episode, that was last episode, when he squishes bends the cigarette. I was like, oh, is he not going to smoke anymore because Himenio's gone? But now it's like, well, this makes sense to smoke this cigarette. I didn't know if it was going to be a thing of he was going to hold on to it forever. Kind of like how, I guess one way to think of it, I mean, if you ever seen Breaking Bad, it's kind of like the one Jesse holds on to because there's, it's associated with a certain person because of the lipstick on it. It might be a similar thing of like, I thought he was going to keep it, but like Aki smoked it, so the question becomes like, is he going to continue smoking after this? Like I said, because it was a thing between him and Himenio, and it's like now that she's gone, like smoking this one last cigarette that was given, she was holding on to it for you, so it feels like necessary and needed to like, right, I owe it to you for getting me started, but I also like, this one's out there for you, kind of blowing it out in the air for her. So I don't know if he still had the entire pack, so I don't know if this is going to be the last one, but or just this is his final goodbye to Himenio, and now it's kind of like, I've said my goodbye, I've gotten my revenge, and now it's time to move on to what's next, getting my other revenge. I don't know. I'm sure, like I said, there's multiple ways you could view and look at all of that, but that's where things currently stand. And obviously the teaser at the very end, I guess, is set up for the next arc, which is, I think I've talked about that, it's going to be in a movie. Apparently, from what I'm looking at, there will be a season 2, but it's going to be after the movie. Obviously, I'm getting to this late. This came out like late, October-ish of 2022 or something like that is when some of this came out. So obviously I'm getting to this like 2 years later, but it kind of benefits me because like I'll probably won't have to wait as long as everyone else for the movie. So I don't know if they're simultaneously doing the movie and season 2. Maybe that's why it's taking so long, because they want to probably get as much of it done, so the break between the movie and season 2 won't be as massive as, I don't know. I'd actually read, I didn't know this, I mean this, and someone can correct me if this is wrong or not, but I guess the manga for a while was no longer like serialized, so like part 1 is what this anime was. It's like the first, apparently 97 chapters, which I always like, it's always mind-blowing like how much an anime will cover of a manga, and I kind of underestimate that. I mean, but a recent example of that would be like Tower of God. Like the first season of Tower of God covers the entire first season of the webtoon, and that's 90 chapters. It's condensed down to 13 episodes of an anime. It's like, I kind of forget, like, you can probably tear through a lot of chapters of a manga or manhwa or webtoon in a single episode. So it's just, I always kind of underestimate that. But yeah, there was, like I said, the quick post I was reading was saying, like, right, there was quite a bit of time in between part 1 and part 2 of the manga before it started being serialized again and picked up with chapter 98. I don't know if it's taken subsequent breaks between, because once again, just from what I was looking at, I didn't know there was ever any breaks in the serialization. But either way, like I said, there's plenty more story to tell, and like I said, the next arc they're covering is in the form of a movie, and beyond that, there might, like I said, it seems highly, because I remember at the time people like, oh, is there not going to be a season 2? So that's why I wasn't sure. But then before I started this, I found out there was going to be a movie, and that there actually still is potentially a season 2 in production. I don't know. I'm not as in the weeds about this. So if you have any information you want to correct me on, go ahead and leave it in the comments. But I'm excited to see where the next arc takes us. I'm wondering, is the next movie going to be about just a Gun Devil, considering they're being pointed in the right direction? So maybe the entire arc of the next in the movie is going to all be about the Gun Devil, or what? Or is the Gun Devil going to be like the end all be all? So like, we're definitely not getting to it now, but maybe we're taking a step in that right direction, considering we're being pointed more on where the actual Gun Devil is. I don't know. I'm excited to see what's next. Whatever the case may be, whatever this series wants to throw my way, having thoroughly enjoyed it, I'm excited to see what's next. And like I said, I benefit from getting to this late because I won't have to wait I definitely won't have to wait as long as other people. But I guess it's like, that's the benefit of the manga. It's like, well, if you don't want to wait for the movie and any potential future seasons, like, the manga's there, so. But yeah, I've run my mouth off long enough. Really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.